ministers in Danville, and as long as we got ministers like Bishop Dillard, he was talking against him, Reverend Tyler, Bishop Kellum, and Reverend Roy, and Reverend Hagwood. You know what? I love the church. I love the church. Johnny, you shouldn't be beating on our brothers. Our brothers reading the scriptures.
These guys are riding the back of poor
Johnny,
people,
let me,
and I'm proving it.
See, that's not
You
fair.
address me. Don't address me and then don't tell me not to talk.
And then down
haven't taken over the
Reverend
word
Avon King and Reverend Booker George and Reverend Griffin and Reverend Lenlin and Pastor Campbell and Reverend Stewart.
Apostle worldwide.
You know, these men
Campbell
is doing some great work. It would not be for them. Our people wouldn't have nothing. They wouldn't have nothing to go to. You know what? The thing that you talk about, denomination, that don't even matter.
Now,
you know, my
Campbell. Let's talk about
suit got a label on it, and yours got a label on it, but that don't make you who you are.
Listen,
what makes us who we are
is $1 million house and a $300,000 car, and his son now's got a $2 million house, and Malvester's saying, we wouldn't have nothing if it wasn't for the Campbells. The Campbells got it all, man. They ride in the backs of these poor people, and you're supporting them. I'm glad you're on record.
But the people love him, though, John.
I know they do. They love a tyrant. It's that way all the time.
People love him.
You know what?
You know what? If they love him, then what you have to do with it?
Now, this is the Nation of Islam. I can't even get them to verify that you're with them.
They don't tell you nothing.
They ain't telling you nothing either.
Don't worry about that. I'm all right.
What is his name? Malvester Dixon.
But
No, Malvester. Oh, Malvester.
This is the editor of Final Call.
So what that mean?
We'll see. Listen to it.
Okay, and what is your debate with him regarding? Well, we're just kind of having a general 2-hour discussion tonight on WGSR TV, and my intention is really to demonstrate that the Church of Christ, of which I'm a member, is saying the same thing that he's saying in regard to Christianity of today, that it's basically useless in regard to bringing about changed minds towards the relationship between black and white. But I'm going to demonstrate that Jesus is the answer and not Allah.
Let's see what she said.
Oh, okay. And your name, sir? Johnny Robertson. The reason that I'm calling is Malvester has had some difficulties in the past. He was actually arrested and accused, he and his bodyguard, Rick.
Was you arrested, John? Was you arrested? You done been. But you was arrested for something you did once.
I don't speak bad about you. Just
but the point is, I don't go around telling people that you was arrested.
Just listen.
That ain't the point. The point is, you should be a man of better standards and principles than that.
And I'm just trying to verify if he still is in good standing. I'm going to check into that as well. And your number, Mr. Robertson? It is 276. 806.
Well, don't look like she's telling you nothing.
She didn't call me back either. Are you telling me tonight that you...
The nation is not going to answer you, Johnny.
Oh, will they answer you? Can you prove to this community that you
I'm
represent
not
the
going to
Nation of
prove
Islam?
nothing to you.
I wouldn't either if I could.
Okay, then. I don't have to prove nothing
I know
to
you don't. But
All
you
right,
could.
then.
You could. So do you really
I
represent
don't
the
have
Nation
to
of Islam?
You know, no, I'm not a local representative of the Nation of
thank
Islam.
you. So see what
I
we
didn't
have
say I
here
were.
is we have a farce.
I were before what happened
This
to me.
whole thing is a farce. He doesn't even represent the Nation of Islam. You just admitted
listen
it.
to that. When I talk to you, I made that promise to you, then I were. But
why didn't you tell us tonight that you weren't?
You didn't ask me.
So you just went on and let the community think that you
No,
represent the
I
Nation
don't
of
let them
Islam?
think nothing. What did I say? What did I come up here and introduce myself as anything other than Malvester? So what you talking about, John?
I'm just basically making it clear.
You're trying to use your sneaky. You just like a serpent.
Okay.
You crawl up and make
sneaky.
a crooked turn.
I'm sneaky because I exposed that you're not even with the Nation of Islam anymore.
Who told you that?
You just did.
No, I ain't told you that.
You just said
See,
you didn't
then
represent.
you put words in my mouth.
You know what? I'm also putting them on tape.
I say I'm not the representative.
Thank you. That's what I mean. You don't represent the Nation of Islam anymore, and these are not the fruit of Islam either.
That's what you say.
You tell us if they are then.
I'm not going to tell you no.
I wouldn't either if I could.
Because I didn't come up here for that. I come up here to debate you for this.
You come up here to represent the Nation of Islam, of which you're not a representative anymore.
I am a member of the Nation of Islam.
Okay.
And
So who is the representative? I'd like to debate the representative.
Brother Kevin Dalton from Ridgeway.
Will he meet me?
I don't know.
We'll send him a DVD of this and see.
You can look in the phone book and find his name.
Well, see, I didn't know. See, I was under the impression you let me have the impression that you were still the representative.
I ain't gave you no kind of impression.
Well, you sure didn't clear it up.
Well, why you didn't ask me?
I was planning on asking.
And when you
see,
brought me,
I actually brought it up when I got ready.
And when you brought me on the TV, you introduced me as Mavester Dixon. That's where you've been introducing me all the week. That's where you've been introducing me all the week, Mavester Dixon.
Okay, you said that didn't bother you.
Okay,
no,
it don't bother me.
Haven't I been trying to correct it? I've been trying to say Mavester Muhammad.
It don't make no difference.
All right, what are you bringing it up for?
Because
I caught you acting like you're the representative of the Nation of Islam.
No, I ain't never tried to do that. I ain't never said that. That's you saying that, Johnny. Whatever you want to say, Johnny, you say it.
Mm-hmm.
That don't make it true, though.
Okay.
Stop
we got the truth. You come on out and told it.
Stop speaking with a fork of tongue, Johnny.
We got out and we got the truth. Now, for the community now, for y'all to know, this man doesn't represent, he's not the representative of the Nation of Islam
I ain't never say I were.
Okay, thank you.
All right, folks, we got to wrap it up. Hey, thank y'all for coming, and I'm sure we'll have another chance. And,
Real quickly, do both parties feel like they've been able to say what you want to say?
I definitely do, even though I had to take shorter speeches.
Well, you know what? I said some of the stuff, but Johnny, he won't give me the time. Like that young lady, serious, and I should have been able to address that. You know, you should have.
We should have the true representative represented. Answer her. And ma'am, you heard his name is Dawes, did you say? If you want to get in touch with the true representative of the Nation of Islam, this is not the man.
All right. Jonathan, can you just walk away and give him 2 minutes to finish?
Yeah, sure.
Just take your mic off. Yeah. I'll give you 2 minutes. I want to make sure you have 2 minutes to say.
I'll give you 2 hours.
You leave your mic on.
No.
I'll give you 2 minutes to have the last word.
I would like to kind of address what that young lady was saying. We need to, as
Thanks for being with me tonight. I am Johnny Robertson, and we are live here on What Does the Bible Say? What we want to begin with is what is going to be coming up in our very near future, and that is our evangelistic activity that we participate in every year, third Monday in June. That'll be June the 19th. We'll be somewhere in this local area within the viewing audience where we'll set up a tent so that we have the opportunity to come face to face with people that are in the listening area. The reason we do that is because we want you to be able to see us real. We want you to be able to see us interact with our fellow Christians, people also that have come from different places throughout the country to be with us, to go out in the community and knock doors, also learn the technique of going door to door and seeing what it's like in just a local area, how people treat you, so that some of the fears that people build up in their mind about door knocking, about going door to door, and how people will treat you, we can get rid of that, dispel that, and you can go back to your own area and begin to do what needs to be done in our country, and that is seed our country again with New Testament Christianity. And so that is very, very important. What we actually have right now is sectarianism. And it just really isn't going to do as well as the truth of the New Testament. And so that's the reason why we are doing what we're doing. We get out in the community. I have to send a producer. We go out in the community and basically we're trying to let people see real individuals. So we're advertising that for you. I want to make sure that you realize, some of the guys that you'll be seeing. This man moved here from California to be with us. You see the different age group of individuals. It's a gentleman that has been associated with us for over 20 years back here. He's getting ready to help us put up the tent. We're in front of the Hampton Inn on this particular instance. This was 2021. This is a lot of people that have come to be with us, people from Tennessee, people 2 or 3 different places in Tennessee. Back in the back right here, we got people from Florida, originally from, I believe, I'm just going to skip that, maybe Minnesota. And then you have people from Maryland right in here. You have New Hampshire right there, and Arizona, Florida, and Kansas, I believe. That's what I see. And so it's a very nice thing to have all these individuals come into our area. And if you're somebody who is in the Martinsville, Henry County area, you want to meet members of the Church of Christ across the nation, this is a good place for you to be. We have people that are manning the tent all the time, preparing food for the door knockers, 25, 30 plus individuals that are door knocking. These individuals like it so much, that's right behind me, they actually decided to change their zip code from New Hampshire to Virginia, Pennsylvania County. And so people from Tennessee, as I mentioned a while ago, Manchester, Tennessee, and these are Christians that are trying to do the same thing throughout all the country. This is Houston, Texas being represented. And again, some of the other individuals that were there together. What are we going to be doing? It's hard work, y'all. This is in the morning. I believe this is day 11 in Danville, Virginia. Everybody smiling. The crew is looking good. And got a busload of individuals going out door to door. Danville is the city of churches, is what it used to be called. Can be really rough and tough over there in Danville. Shootings all the time. We go into all the areas. Don't skip any of them. Door knock. This is 9 a.m. Here we are coming back in the afternoon. Man, it really changes the perspective, does it not? You see anybody back there except Che, my daughter's sitting with me. She doesn't get to door knock with me very often. She's the only person smiling on the entire bus right there. So everybody's tired as a result of being out working hard to try to generate curiosity about the true church that you read about in the Bible. What could be better? Here's what we want to start with tonight. And this is something that we're going to do on a regular basis. We'll ask you a question. Where is Gino Jennings? Gino Jennings, we're basically wanting to give you some promo time. Gino Jennings, this is his building in Martinsville, Virginia. That is 301 Red Oak Street. It is owned by the First Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ Incorporated, and I believe it was purchased in 2013. 2013? Seriously? That's the location for the great Gino Jennings, apostolic apostle of the world, headquarters in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I would like to ask the question tonight of Gino, since you're not here, is there anybody in the area that is apostolic that was preaching on the prom? Do you realize it's prom time? What does that have to do with anything? Y'all, what we're here for, I'm saying what we're really doing is we're trying to stem the flow of bad things that continue to be promoted in our area. What is the prom? Prom is short for promenade. It is show out time. It used to be that people would have barn dances, they would have street dances, just all kinds of things. I don't really know when the public school became a place for a promenade. It used to be that we had one-room schoolhouses and it was a place of education. Things were pretty regimented. People were there for one thing and one thing only. Oftentimes they only had certain seasons that they went to school because the crops had to come in. In the city, maybe it was different in the rural areas. But pretty much it was a place of education in the early 1900s. And then all of a sudden, we have the federalized school system and you got all the money coming from the federal government. And all of a sudden, really now, it is basically a place for showing out and sports. Not a lot of learning going on. And so it is prom time. So what's happening? Individuals are dressing up. They're going to dance. They're going to have their pictures taken. A lot of people are going to lose their virginity. This is a very, very high time for unwed pregnancies to happen after the prom. Drinking involved. A lot of people lose their life during this time frame. I'm just asking the question. We're talking about it tonight. Anybody around here, we're talking to you locally before we talk to our national audience. We talk to you locally. Did the apostolic folk preach on the prom? Now, I will tell you, Gino Jennings will preach on the prom. He will preach on all of the lasciviousness, all the lewdness, all the nakedness, all the drinking, all the smoking, all the just everything you can think of. Unwed mothers, deadbeat dads, he does teach on that. But one of the things he does is he promotes sectarianism. He promotes division, and he is fast becoming mainline Pentecostal, and he's going to lose, eventually he's going to lose that edge because you can't continue to do things that he is doing. Keep the money level up. What does that mean? If he continues to buy the properties and things of that nature, he's got to keep a certain amount of money coming in, and you get too strict as you go along, and you just can't generate that money. And so here he is. He has not been able to come into Martinsville in Henry County. Why? Because every time he shows up, we show up in person and we have airtime for Gino Jennings. No show. Now, what is our topic tonight? Our topic is what is usually our topic, and that is what is going on locally. We have a shooting uptown. It says nation on shooting uptown. This is the local Nation of Islam, and they are being interviewed about the shooting in uptown Martinsville. Why are we having a shooting in uptown Martinsville? Well, the police chief said it's because you put together a scenario where you have people inside of an establishment, everybody is drinking, their inhibitions change. What does that mean? You're more likely to say things that you would not normally say. You have men and women mixing together in that kind of setting. You'll have individuals that are dancing, same kind of stuff that's going on in the prom. You learn early how to behave. You get to the point where you're old enough to go into a club, and all of a sudden uptown Martinsville has a club named Brewski's, and somebody was killed in front of the restaurant or the club over the weekend, and the man died on the way to the hospital. 2 guys inside the club, one of them had a gun. They end up outside. Why? Alcohol, inhibitions. You say things that you would not normally say. You might say something to the wrong person's girlfriend. You might smart off to the wrong person. You never know. That person could get angry quickly because he's inebriated, and people are carrying guns in a place like this. Now I want to ask you, your kids go to this place? You know, I know people who go to these clubs and they think it is harmless, and now someone has died. Now, let's talk about the Nation of Islam. Because while we're doing this, we're actually looking at our participants in our neighborhoods. You have Nation of Islam in your neighborhood? Are they good for your neighborhood? Is their message good for your neighborhood? Is it a message that will change the environment? Well, you know, that's basically what we'll have a look at. Here is what we have queued up from the Nation of Islam. Let's have a look. Local Nation of Islam on the shooting. Take a listen.
Shooting last night at Brewski's. And, you know, one thing I've been telling folks is that it looks like the nightclubs are the biggest problem as far as being dangerous. It's like you might be, if you want to save your life, don't go in a nightclub. But anyway, I know you got some opinion on it while you're out here selling these papers.
Yes, we are here trying to give knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we don't have to the people, so that the people can learn the knowledge of self, and the knowledge of self will make them change from being what we lost. We lost love.
We're out here trying to teach people the knowledge of themselves, what we knew we lost, or what we had we lost. Let's back up just a little bit because I want to give the man a chance. This is the Nation of Islam. It is basically an all-black religion. If you're in the Nation of Islam, that's you're following the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Louis Farrakhan has been the leader. You've got some spin-off leaders. Well, what do they have to say? There's a lot of people who don't know. Listen to Malvester. He's the person on the street selling the final call. Take a listen.
From being what we lost. We lost love for self, and now we got to regain it. And the only way you can regain love is that you get the knowledge of yourself.
Self. We have lost the love of self, and so basically you have to regain the knowledge of yourself to love yourself. Let's listen along.
Love for self, and now we got to regain it. And the only way you can regain love is that you get the knowledge of yourself and know who you really are.
What he's really talking about is he's basically talking about identity and information that has been given down to him through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and a book called The Message of the Black Man. He's speaking in code here, but is that really the answer? Loving yourself? Let's continue.
If you knew that you was a son of God, not by the way that people teach it, that a son of God is one who takes the mind of the Father.
You'll be a son of God, but not the way people teach it. Let's go to the Bible here right quick, and let's examine a little bit of this, because he said love of self is basically the thing that we've lost, and so we want to have a look and see, well, what did Jesus say? Because he said it's not what people actually have taught, and he's talking about Christianity. Now, I'm not involved with the mainline Christianity, the sectarian. I am basically telling you about the church that you read about in the New Testament, the people that you read about in the New Testament, how they behaved, and what their teacher, Jesus Christ, the Son of God, actually said. Jesus said to them, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy soul, and all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is likened to it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So I didn't hear Malvester talking about loving your neighbor. He says, first, you've got to love yourself. You've got to find out where you came from. He's talking about an identity loss. He's basically saying that the white people have taken that away from him. Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm just quoting them. He's not honorable to me. That's the message that he has given out. And so basically Malvester, and you know, some of the things that Malvester is saying, they have some credence in the sense that there are people in our nation and in every nation that want to keep some group of individuals down. They try to steal your identity. They try to blur your identity. And really what we're all going to be talking about at the end of this show is our identity. Who are we? But he is dissing basically the New Testament because he doesn't believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Let's go back just a little bit so that you can see our players, our spokespersons in every community. Take a listen.
Son of God, not by the way that people teach it. That a son of God is one who takes the mind of the Father, which is God. And
Who takes the mind of the Father, which is God. Now, was Jesus not really the Son of God then? Because Jesus basically claimed that he was the Son of God. He claimed that he was always doing what the Father wanted him to do. He loved the Lord his God with all of his heart, mind, and soul. He loved his neighbor as himself. He gave his life for his neighbor, for everybody, really the sins of the world. And Malvester doesn't believe that Jesus even really was crucified. He doesn't believe what the New Testament actually says about the actual identity of the man, Jesus Christ. Continue to listen.
going to take the mind of the Father. It's like little Jesus is moving around. So if we become like that, we wouldn't have to worry about who's Father. It's like little Jesus is moving around. So if we become like that, we wouldn't have to worry about what's going on.
Little Jesuses, we could become little Jesuses, and if we were all be moving around like that, we wouldn't have to worry about this stuff that's going on, shooting and whatnot. No, wait a minute. I actually believe that the New Testament says that we're to be conformed to the image of God's Son also. So, which is it? His prophet is Muhammad. His other prophet is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or Louis Farrakhan. Louis Farrakhan believes that he is, in fact, the incarnation. So that is a very mixed signal. Continue.
But who are we following? Who are we following?
Who do you think we're following?
You know what? Everybody said they are Christian. Everybody said they believe in Jesus. But I don't think Jesus would accept us the way we are because of the fact that we're not living the life that Jesus lived, nor are we obeying his commandments and principles.
All right, do you think the messages are in these newspapers?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Give me
sir.
an example.
It changed me from Melchizedek to a Savior.
Okay.
That's why I come out here. If you look for Jesus in the Bible, you find him in the highways and byways. You didn't find him behind the stained glass windows. When you went there, you had a problem with the people that was inside there.
What's the difference between you and Johnny Robertson?
How did I get into this? I'm saying he's talking to him about a shooting. He's talking to him about community matters, what would be the remedy. And this man he never said anything about Muhammad. He never said anything about the Quran. He basically is talking about Christianity, problems that he has with Christianity. I don't think Jesus would be happy with what is called Christianity today either, but that's not his message. Now what do you think about Johnny Robertson? Why does Johnny Robertson come into this? Why would I be brought up? The reason why I'm being brought up is because what am I doing right now? I am talking to you locally about local issues and what are the real problems, the root of the problems, and we're going to get into that. And we're going to say things that nobody else is willing to say. That's why he's bringing me up. Malvester is out there selling the final call. He is out there making a presence on Fayette Street, Fayette and 220, and he wants to be a representative to the community, but the problem is his message is so mixed up. And you might say, well, okay, Johnny, you did show that his message was kind of garbled, but when you say messed up, well, you know, I had a chance to have a debate with Malvester, the Nation of Islam. He was actually allowing himself to be thought of as a representative. Take a listen to what he said.
My hands been tied behind my back all night. I had Where my hand's been tied behind my back all night. I had shorter speeches than him, and he's been basically taking over the program ever since it
Johnny,
started.
stop crying.
I'm saying I give you free time. Free time,
Stop
Malvester.
crying, Johnny.
Are we going to have to wait another 10 years?
Listen.
I'm saying, will you tell the community tonight?
This is a description
Will you
of
tell the
Jesus.
community tonight before we go off?
This is a description of Jesus.
Are you coming on Sunday night?
His
so I don't beat you
head
up?
and his hair was white like wool. And I got woolly hair, Johnny.
Okay, Charles.
Okay,
Kinda curly hair too.
woolly.
Does that mean he's a black
White
man?
as snow, and his eyes was as flames of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass. Look at that, that's brassy right there, Johnny.
You know what?
Listen,
if you want to
listen.
convince me that Jesus is a black man, that's fine.
And,
Because all you undoing
and
is
as they
your own
burn in a
doctrine.
furnace,
Good.
Johnny.
Good.
Listen at that.
Okay.
Now you don't believe in your own book?
Okay, now who's going to deliver me? Please tell me.
You know what?
What? Who's going to deliver me? Oh, no, remember, I got your book.
Okay.
What are we? What are we?
Gentiles.
Oh, no, come on now. What does Elijah Muhammad say we really
You
are?
are the Gentiles.
No, come on now. I'm fixing to read it. What does Elijah Muhammad say we really are?
You tell me what he said.
We're the devil.
Okay then.
Are we? Are we?
All right, I'm gonna show
No,
you something.
go ahead. No.
I'm gonna show you
We're gonna
something.
break it down.
I'm gonna
This
show you
is your
something. I'm
chance
gonna
to break it
let
down.
you answer that.
I'm saying, will you tell the community tonight?
This is a
Will
description
you
of
tell the
Jesus.
community tonight before we go off?
This is a description of Jesus.
Are you coming on Sunday night?
His
So I don't
head-
Here we go. Now, Jesus didn't give me a chance either because he was the black man. See, I tell you what, the white folk don't have a chance in the nation of Islam. Jesus was a black man, came to his own.
Look at that, Johnny.
Okay.
Who would do
He
something
admitted
like
the
that?
message to the black man, Honorable Elijah Muhammad, said that the white person is the devil. There are plenty of white people that are acting like the devil. There are plenty of people all over the world that are acting like the devil. Jesus said it that way in John 8:44. You are of your father, the devil. People that are influenced by the flesh, not allowing themselves to live up to what God intended them to be, made in his image, to act like him, given his son so that we can find out the exact image of God in the flesh. People are not willing to do that. They would rather follow their flesh. They would rather follow the devil. And so I am saying that is the case. But for him to actually say that we are the devil, and so his message is garbled. Continue to listen.
Johnny teaches some good knowledge, but Johnny tries to force people.
Johnny
And
teaches
that's
some
what
good
that's
knowledge,
wrong.
but Johnny tries to force people. Listen, y'all, I'm not trying to force you. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you an open discussion session like the Apostle Paul would go into the marketplace in Acts chapter 17, in Acts chapter 19, Acts chapter 18, in the open air situation. This is the public square right here. We have phone lines open. I'm actually going to use my phone tonight as well. And so I'll ask my producer to put up my phone line, or I'll do it myself if that's what I need to do. And I'll keep coming back to that slide. My number is 276-806-2150. I'm going to put that up right quick. This is the number that you can get in touch with me, 276-806-2150. So we'll have it on that slide where we're talking about Malvester and the things that are being said by him. All right, so we just quoted from the message to the black man, message to Islamic men in debate. You had it very clearly. And what I'm saying is, he said, I have a good message, but I try to force people. Now, if I'm giving you my cell phone number and we're on live television, 2 states, going streaming onto YouTube throughout the United States, other parts of the world, somebody was actually answering Caleb in Spain last week. And so all of this is going on. And how is it that I am forcing people when I'm actually giving you a chance to talk back to me and, you know, maybe even answer what I'm saying? Maybe you wanted to take up for that. So here we go. So what is going on? We have a shooting. You have the Nation of Islam. He doesn't really want to weigh into it that much. It garbled speech. I'm going to weigh into it. What else is going on? This all ties together. It is prom time. And as I mentioned, are the apostolics talking about prom? Did anybody preach a prom lesson today preaching against lasciviousness, dancing? Lasciviousness is the unchaste handling of men and women of each other, the opposite sex. Nakedness, lewdness, rioting, all of that kind of thing. Partying, excess, drinking. That's all the kind of stuff that goes on. And the school system is actually promoting it. But guess what? You know, there's more to it than that. This year, what is going on is actually the people that are having the proms are also involved in promoting a play, a Broadway play that's become a movie, And they're wanting the play to actually take place in their school system, and it's in the news. Let's take a listen right quick to the Lynchburg news about what's going on at prom time.
Is expressing concern about a high school play.
City Council member Martin Mischin sent a request to the school board to have the show called The Prom canceled. And he went on to say if they do not cancel the show, he wants the superintendent to resign from her position.
WFXR's Anna McDougall spoke with the music director of that play as well as one of the sponsors. She joins us now live. Anna, what exactly is the issue?
First of all, let me say this. What is the issue? When the news is telling you what the issue is, you know it's wrong. These people are in the advertisement business. They don't know up from down. They don't care right from wrong. They don't have a dog in the fight. All they want you to do is they want you to tune in for the next episode. Find out what happened in Lynchburg. You don't have to just go to Lynchburg. You can go all over the nation right now. This play is raging. What is it? It's the play, The Prom. What is it about? Let's see if she can hit little top, bottom side of it.
During Kathleen, in the letter that Councilman Mischin sent, he describes the play as distasteful and offensive, adding that he's appalled that the public school would allow a production that he says openly mocks the Judeo-Christian faith. However, those involved with the play say that the lines he was reading were taken out of context. The play takes place in a conservative town in Indiana where a high school girl is banned from taking her girlfriend to the prom because they're in a same-sex relationship. When 4 Broadway actors hear about this, they try to help her and make a change. The comedy musical uses Christianity in a non-traditional way to try to share the message of the show. In a statement from Councilman Mischin, he says the community should not be funding disrespect toward any race, religion, or creed, something he believes the production of The Prom is doing.
Can you tell me why the school system is involved with this anyway? Educating our offspring. You pay property taxes, I pay property taxes. My kids were homeschooled, so basically I was defrauded of my property taxes because I do not want these people in my children's head because of the way they're actually operating up there. Well, what are they doing? They're normalizing all kinds of what would be a detrimental, how would you look at the idea that you're promoting in the public school system a sexual orientation? Why do my kids need to find out sexual orientation at school? Why is it that these people that are associated with our government are involved in the propagandizing of our children? I mean, this is propagating orientation while you're not around. And people do it. Why do they do it? Y'all, we allow it because of something that we were talking about just a few minutes ago, and that is the determination to have what our flesh wants. Public school system in reality is actually daycare. Your kids spend a lot of time up there with these teachers and you're doing what you want to do. Well, what do you want to do? I want to get more things. How do you get more things? I have to work a job. You hear how that says? H-A-V-E. I have to work a job in order to have the things I want. H-A-V-E. Have. I have to have. Do you really? Could you not curb that instead of letting your children actually be in the care of individuals that are teaching them orientation, and now you're going to have a drama? You're going to dramatize it in front of everybody in a play all over the country? I mean, really, y'all, let's be real. When we talk about not liking the state of affairs, if you don't like it, why is it that we're promoting it in this fashion and not actually saying enough is enough? You're never going to get your kids back. You leave your kids K through 12 with these individuals. Who are these individuals? Take a listen to this woman.
Brandon is the music director for the play, but is not employed by Lynchburg City Schools. She says the backlash is a result of a lack of context.
If you actually cared enough to look beyond that knee-jerk reaction, you would see just how much it aligns with your values. And you might even
see if I can get rid of her just for a minute. I can. I'll do it this way.
Thing or two.
If you would stop with the knee-jerk reaction. Well, what is the knee-jerk reaction? Do you not realize, y'all, There is a lot, I am talking about a lot of information that has been disseminated in order for you to think differently than you used to think. And that is actually what she's talking about when she says this knee-jerk reaction. I'm looking for a website. Look at this. This is actually a book that is maybe something that you don't know about. Let me just see. I actually have it queued up here. And I apologize for having information to the point that sometimes I can't find what I'm actually looking for. Let me just go ahead with my slide presentation because I know it's coming up. This is the book entitled After the Ball. And two individuals, one is a psychologist, the other is in public relations, they wrote the book to normalize homosexuality. Here's one of the things that is said in the book. And when we say talk about homosexuality, we mean just that. In the early stages of the campaign, the public should not be shocked and repelled by premature exposure to homosexual behavior itself. What campaign? Y'all, this has been going on for 20 years after the ball. It is the manifesto. It is the playbook in order to normalize homosexuality. Well, how do you normalize it? You talk about it all the time. But here's one thing you don't do. In the early stages of the campaign, the public should not be shocked and repelled by premature exposure to homosexual behavior itself. Now, listen, don't be talking trash to me right now. That's in their own manifesto. What would be shocking and repellent about homosexual behavior? That's what we're saying. Now, let's move back to Miss Know Everything here, who is telling us that we're all involved in a knee-jerk reaction. You might find out that this lines up with your own what? Your own value system? Let's listen.
Your values, and you might even learn a thing or two that you hadn't thought of before.
Brand goes on to say that she believes this response could put unnecessary weight
Watch
on
how this
students' shoulders.
It's a shift now. In the book, After the Ball, they actually teach you to shift the blame. And you're now victimizing somebody by your position. So if I have a value system that says, you know what, I don't want my children seeing a play that depicts two girls who are lesbians actually wanting to go to the prom together and not being allowed to. The prom's going to be canceled. And some individuals in the play, not the play, but I'm saying Broadway people hear about it and they decide to try to help this situation be normalized. Now, if I don't want that, then am I victimizing the children? So she basically now starts on us, those of us who would say, and the person in the city council who wrote the letter, she said, look, let's let her do her own talking.
Necessary weight on students' shoulders.
The fact that they now have to shoulder the burden that adults that they are not associated with have piled on their shoulders.
Oh, what role do you play now? Music director? She's not an employee of the school. She is a person who is in the propaganda business. You have these individuals that don't have anything whatsoever to do with the school system. They're now up here babysitting your kids. While they're there, they're going to bring in a play that children, young people, your offspring are actually going to be participants in. Everybody's identity is going on right here. She's the school, she isn't the school, she is a music director, whatever that means. City council says, no, we don't want that happening in the school. The school is funded by the public. The school is funded by the federal government. Why in the world is this even in there normalizing homosexual behavior? And she's basically saying now, these kids who are all excited about being the persons who are going to be in the play, they're having to shoulder a burden of a bunch of adults that they don't even have any association with. Now, excuse me? Are we not sharing the same planet here? Lynchburg is right down the road, and other school systems are doing this as well. It's just epidemic right now. All of them are following lockstep, knee-jerk is what it is. They're all following in line with this. And who is saying anything about it? I don't really think anybody's singing about it. Anybody preach about prom today? You see, the sectarian folk basically are so inclined to catch up with the money they lost during COVID. It's very likely that today you got a lesson on tithes and the money that you owe the church. Can I tell you this? You don't owe anything to any of these individuals who are actually in groups that are not in any way associated with what the New Testament actually teaches. They do not exist. Their behaviors are condemned in the New Testament, and this is how we get going. There's probably people up in here who claim to be Christians. She probably claims to be a Christian. One of their sponsors, listen to this.
In his letter to the school superintendent, Misjin says he wants legal counsel to review the play to determine if public money is being used to fund hate speech. However, the First Unitarian Church of Lynchburg is a sponsor of the production. Church official Courtney Cena says they believe the show furthers its main message.
We thought that this was a really good way to show that we are living love in the world because we are in support of the messaging that this play brought.
Unitarian Church, it's a good way to be supportive. Can we go back now, right quick? Supportive of what? Well, whatever it is they're supporting, which is the normalization of homosexuality, it is actually something that the manifesto says in the early stages of the campaign, the public should not be shocked and repelled by premature exposure to homosexual behavior itself. Instead, the imagery of the sex per se should be downplayed, and the issue of gay rights reduced as far as possible to an abstract social question. You see how they're doing this? This is a social issue where you all are shifting and making these children, these young people, be victims of a burden that has been put on them because they're involved in the tutoring that is actually taking place by these individuals who are not even supposed to be in the school system. Now, may I ask you, do we have to follow the manifesto too? I'm on live broadcast in 2 states area, broadcasting over into YouTube, and I'm simply asking you, do you have to not say something about the homosexual behavior itself? What do 2 lesbians do, might I ask? Well, the Unitarian Church doesn't want us to talk about that because it messes up their social message. And this woman right here, she's basically saying this, these 2 women, it could be in line with your values. If you would just let us teach you, you might learn something. Okay, why don't you teach me? What is it that 2 consenting high school kids, same sex, 2 girls, what is it that they're going to be doing that is repellent? Let's go back. What is going to be repellent and shocking? Well, I can tell you this. I know what's going to have to take place. There's going to be some clothes taken off. Girls are going to take their clothes off together. Yes, and what are they going to do then? And you might be saying, put the kids to bed. It is 9:36, but I can tell you this, your TV is filled with this. Talk on the cartoons, talk on the Disney channels. All of these different individuals are talking about this openly in front of your kids, and this woman and people just like her in the school system, they already got your kids oriented. That nothing wrong with you if you want to take another girl's clothes off. You're a girl and you want to take another girl's clothes off. You want to see another girl naked and you want to, what are you going to do? It's repellent. It's shocking. And if I say it to you, then I'm some kind of curmudgeon or some pervert to even think that you should know about these things because that's not the agenda. We're basically, what is the agenda? Y'all, this is so simple. It's just unbelievable that we've fallen into it. Instead, the imagery of sex per se should be downplayed. Let's don't talk about naked people. Why? Is that not what's going to happen? This is homosexual behavior. It's how individuals of the same sex have sex. Well, we want to downplay the imagery and the issue of gay rights be reduced as far as possible to an abstract social question. Here's a social question. Should we be putting this on these kids? Should we have their shoulders be burdened with this kind of stuff at this early age? And the Unitarian says, no, this is the way we actually teach Christianity.
Confirmed that despite the context, any sort of anti-Christian sentiment coming from schools should not be allowed. He says he will not be supporting any school board members who think this performance is okay for our schools.
Now that's some of the things that are going on. So now let's move a little further down the line. Why should anybody be listening to what the superintendent has to say, to the school system, to the city council? I mean, seriously, what all are they funding? What all are they responsible for? You know, how is it that the bar where the people got shot, how did they get their liquor license? What were the votes that actually created the scenario that creates the possibility of people being in that kind of setting and your young people being up there? I'm saying seriously, y'all. These are just little dust-ups that nobody is really that interested in. And why do I say that? This is the superintendent for Henry County school system. Her name is Sandy. Here's a trade-off. Sandy wants to dance, and she wants to strip down when she dances. Kind of like the people at the prom. They, you know, most of the prom dresses, most of them, I don't have a clue what they're actually wearing, but a lot of them have more cloth than this woman is wearing on the bottom end of her makeup, her anatomy. But on the top, they wear a lot less. And so, but that's the superintendent of the school system. Now, can you imagine the superintendent of the school system actually talking to your children about a dress code? Do you have a dress code? Do we have a dress code in Henry County? Well, the superintendent doesn't have a dress code. This is basically something that was seen in the newspaper. What is this? These are folk during COVID who were telling us that you should distance and wear masks and all that, and they were getting ready to dance the salsa over at the Art Center together while the rest of us were being told we had to stay in our house, had to do all these kind of precautions to make sure we didn't get COVID. And the superintendent, who probably during this time frame, I doubt the school was even open, even if it was, they had all kinds of protocols in place, and what's she doing? This is not social distancing right over there. So what's the trade-off? Sandy wants to dance. So basically all of the social norms go out the window, and well, who's going to correct that? Well, here's Caleb, and he's down to the Methodist, local Methodist church, and he's asking the question of the Methodists. He's asking about women pastors. Now, you see how this goes? If the Bible is clear on certain things that God wants to be in place, and the people who are in charge of the religion, remember what Malvester said? Jesus probably would not like Christianity. I guarantee you Jesus doesn't like what they're calling Christianity. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence, for Adam was first formed and then Eve. Most people say that Paul is a sexist, that he is actually an individual who is outdated. But look at this. This goes all the way back to the Garden of Eden. It's order. Society has to be ordered or we have chaos. And he basically says, in the religious scene, in worship, in our setting where we're trying to be involved with what God wants us to be involved in while we're being taught and we're trying to control ourselves, I suffer not a woman to teach nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be in silence. Oh, that's horrific and horrifying. Well, is it really? I mean, we all know that in the home, somebody has to be in charge. Parents are in charge of children, are they? No, Child Protective Services are in charge of children. The husband, is he making any decisions? Could he actually get the wife to please stay at home and be satisfied? He'd be satisfied too, less boy toys. Could he be satisfied with what he is able to make and everybody stay in the home and the mother teach the children? Because I'm saying homeschooling is not that difficult. And what is going on in the school system? It's not good. The superintendent, here she is. What do you think that she is actually promoting to your children? What kind of voting is she doing? What kind of textbooks would she be fine with? Well, I guarantee you they're teaching that we came from a monkey up there. We just got down to it, didn't we? Why are we killing each other? We're basically all animals. We're all evolved from what we used to be, monkeys down the line, and we're not made in the image of God. And we wonder why we're having all of these troubles. Sandy wants to dance, wants to take most of her clothes off. Eliza, a lot of her clothes that she's taken off. Why can't the kids dance? And why then, if Sandy, the superintendent, can do all this, why can't the girls have same-sex relationships? Just don't talk about how shocking and repellent it is what they're going to be doing. Man, are we really that silly? So here we are. Let's listen to this woman as she responds to what was actually said to her in regard to what is right and what is wrong. You know, it is pretty amazing, is it not? The things that people say. Listen to this Methodist lady, First Methodist, uptown Martinsville. Take a listen.
Person asked that question.
Why? What does that mean? To say that it's a sin on the Sabbath, but he actually is allowing women to preach. When 1 Timothy 2 says not to.
I'm the wrong person to ask that question.
Why? What does that mean?
Because I'm a highly educated female, and I.
What does that mean?
Because I'm a highly educated female.
Yeah, we already seen one highly educated female on this show, have we not? She's the music director over at Lynchburg High School, and she's not paid. She's not associated with the school system whatsoever, but she's up in there basically shifting the blame onto any of us who say that they ought not to have that play, which actually normalizes lesbianism, homosexual behavior, shocking and repellent, by their own wording, after the ball, it is the manifesto, shocking and repelling behavior. Let's downplay the actual sexuality, the sex itself. But she's highly educated, and her pastor would be dancing at the salsa play also. So, you see, Sandy wants to dance. This woman wants to be a pastor, or not. I don't know. I don't even know what her problem is, but she thinks she's highly educated, and whatever it is that she thinks she knows, it's fine with the pastor because he wants her to let him go ahead and dance the salsa as well. So you see what's happening? Everybody is agreeing to disagree, and the kids are watching us all do that. And, you know, excuse the kids if they get uptown and start drinking and get into a fight and just recreate what they see grown-ups doing all the time, and that is demoralizing each other, actually creating chaos by not having any rules, shifting the blame, changing things from reality to what? Propaganda? Y'all, it is a difficult time for us to be living. So what actually took place?
After an overnight fatal shooting that happened outside a downtown restaurant, Rooski's. Police say they responded to reports of a disturbance on West Church Street just after midnight. When they arrived on scene, they found the victim, 37-year-old Claiborne Kent Jr., with a single gunshot wound. Kent died from his injuries while being transported to the hospital by EMS.
Where is Brewski's? Right across from City Hall, right across from the post office. It's as uptown, downtown as you can possibly get. How did it even get up there? And somebody's laying on the sidewalk, having been shot as a result of something that happened on the inside of a bar that didn't even used to be there. And now he died in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, which is just right around the corner. Now, folks, seriously, can we get past some of the silliness, the foolishness, the downright ignorance that we have been imbibing? Do you realize, I'm saying seriously, y'all, do you realize in Russia it is illegal to have same-sex marriage? And in America, it is celebrated. Our Supreme Court, highest court in the land, has determined if that's what you want to do. Homosexuality is normalized now. The campaign is way past the early stages. Everybody knows and is not shocked or repelled anymore by homosexual behavior itself. Why, we have Pride Month now. I don't know when it is. What does that mean? It means you're out in front of everybody, kids, everybody, on main streets celebrating your sexual orientation. What does that mean? Why do kids need to see a bunch of grown men hugging up to other grown men and acting sexual towards them outside of a hotel, bedroom, whatever? You know, people used to say, when you see that kind of behavior, they used to say, get a room. Now you're proud of it in front of everybody. And in Russia, where everybody has a problem with Russia, right? It's illegal to have same-sex marriage in Russia. Man, when you've got the president of the former Soviet Union, who was a member of the KGB, who is actually a professing Christian, and the country that he presides over is against, makes it illegal to have same-sex marriage, and we are actually having a prom play in our local schools where we celebrate two girls that want to come to the prom together and celebrate their sexual orientation. and I'm getting the blame for putting something on their shoulders. Look, y'all, this is serious business. How do we get you to be serious? Well, I can tell you this. We may not be to this point. Acts chapter 12, verse 1. Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the church. But I can tell you this. The king hasn't put forth his hand to vex the church, but there are plenty of individuals in America who are ready to vex you. What does that mean? It means that they have a propaganda thing going on themselves, and this is basically what they're doing. This is imagery that is real, and it is a bad image of a bad preacher whose name is Fred Phelps. But what these individuals that wrote the After the Ball book would have you to believe is that I'm this person. Anybody who says anything about your shocking and repellent behavior, their quote, is actually a person who should be shut down, who should be penalized, canceled, whatever. Listen to Fred as he is on MSNBC.
Poured out on this evil nation.
Is every murder that's committed in the United States today a result of the same policy?
God Almighty for this nation to say that it's okay to be gay. And that's the straits that we're falling upon.
Ooh.
As it was in the days of Lot.
I'm having a Rod
They
Serling
ate, they
moment
drank,
here,
they bought,
sir.
they sold, they planted,
Joining
they
me
built
now.
it.
All right,
But
enough
the
of
same
you.
day
Hey,
Lot went out
zip
of
it.
Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone.
Cut his
from
microphone.
God.
I've heard enough of this guy.
Cut his microphone. Now, y'all, I'm not for this guy either. This is his daughter right here that I have queued up. I actually debated her when she came to Danville, Virginia, spewing all the hate that she was spewing, basically telling these kids, listen to this.
It isn't about you, hun. It isn't about you, hun. It isn't about you, hun. It's not about you.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Okay.
I mean, I ain't gonna argue with you.
Now, see, friends, that's the doctrine they're teaching. You didn't do it. You can't do anything about it. It's not about you. If the Lord doesn't call you, there's nothing you can do. My question is, why in the world would we even be out there on the streets? These people are on their way to hell, and there's nothing they can do about it.
The Lord God has given him up to it. God has given him up to it. God has given him up to it. Whether it was from birth, whether it was from birth, whether it was from birth, whatever the mechanism is that gets them to that place. I know that they are that way at the hand of the Lord their
your
God.
made you homosexual. And there's nothing you can do. You were made that way. Fred Phelps, Shirley Phelps. This is the Baptist doctrine. All of the Baptists actually believe the same thing. They all believe that you're born in sin, total depravity. Just go ahead and mark it down. Ask your pastor. Don't let him know that you've been watching What Does the Bible Say, but let him know that you're wanting to know. Do you teach that we're born in sin? That our babies are actually have inherited the depraved nature of Adam after he sinned in the Garden of Eden? And yes, that's what they believe. And so, again, we just dehumanize the whole race. Evolution is doing, on the one hand, Calvinistic doctrine that the Baptists are teaching, the Methodists are teaching it, Lutherans are teaching it, Catholics are teaching it. Why are you baptizing babies? Episcopalians, Catholics, Presbyterians, Roman Papists, Pope is your papa. Why are they baptizing these babies? Because they inherited a sinful nature. You got to do something about it with water. Man, see what we're talking about? That's why I'm on here. And you know what? We are awash with this kind of stuff. Now, here's my question. Will individuals in these sectarian churches reach out and put hands on us? Absolutely. We've been lawyered up for a long, long time. Why? Because these individuals, take the Methodists right now. The Methodists are splitting all over the place. The Presbyterians have already done it. Why? Because the same thing going on in the school system. They're not having the prom, the play, but they're actually having women preachers, and now they've gone into the LGBTQT. What is that? That is the shocking and repellent behavior that is being talked about in the early days of the campaign to normalize homosexuality. Propaganda. And so what happens? They killed James, the brother of John, with the sword, and because he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. You know why I'm able to do what I'm able to do? is because I am on a television broadcast station in this local area that allows both sides to have their voice. And we have been trying to be silenced for at least 20 years, really big time around 2009 to 2011 and 12. But we're able to put the individuals that try to silence us, we get to put them on television as they do these kinds of things, and we actually get to show people who it is that is doing what they're doing and what's happened as a result of it. The Word of God has grown and multiplied. How do you tell that? Malvester said, my message isn't good because I try to force people. I don't try to force people. I try to educate people. And guess what? He said, I'm not doing very well. You know, as I showed you a moment ago at our tent site, we had people from New Hampshire up here, Tennessee, Texas, California, Kansas, people coming from all over to do what? To try to be like the New Testament church, New Testament Christians, and do what they were doing. You know, these people were so animated. Do you realize what they believed in? Actually, it surpassed your desire to live if you can't speak out. John the Baptist was killed, Jesus was killed, Stephen was killed, and James is killed right here. And what happened? Did these individuals stop doing anything? The thief on the cross, as Jesus was being killed, you know what actually was said to him when he wanted Jesus' mercy? Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto thee, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. In paradise. You know what that means? That means immortal soul. People that have an immortal soul and they know that they're immortal, they transcend these kinds of threats, and they basically say the message is worth my life if it comes down to it. And you can see people like this at our tent. This is the kind of behavior that we have. Sometimes we have to do really horrific things to even keep our tent in play in the county or in the state. So in Acts chapter 7, verse 56, this is Stephen being stoned, and he said, behold, I see the heavens open and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. You know why they're stoning him? Because he said that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, and they rejected him, just like they did Moses, just like they did Joseph. These individuals have consistently done that. This is the Jewish people, and they killed him. Did it stop people? No. Why? Because their message, the message that I'm actually preaching and teaching, what is it? True Christianity. It isn't love yourself and find out your identity, as Malvester said. It is us believing that God is our Father. Jesus Christ was sent here to act out God on the earth in flesh so that we could see what God would like for us to be towards our fellow man. Love your neighbor as yourself. And what would you do if you were in danger and somebody needed to deliver you? You would want them to do that. That's exactly what Jesus did. Now, here's what I want to put in front of you as we're going out. Here's the thing that is animating a lot of people. It animates the school system. It animates people that send their kids to the school system. It sounds like, Johnny, that you're against the school. You know, some of your politicians that you're voting for are wanting to get rid of the Department of Education. Why? Because it is propaganda. It is a seat of propaganda, and they have your children from K through 12. And what do? They turn them into a totally different individual. They turn them into groups of blocks of people that are just doing some shocking and repellent things by their own mouth. Philippians 3:4, though I might also have confidence in the flesh, if any man think that he hath whereof he might trust in the flesh, I more. You know what? You know what Paul is talking about here? He's talking about his identity that he came into the world with. He's talking about the family that he came into the world with. He is of the tribe of Benjamin. That's a special thing. That's Joseph's brother. That is Jacob's baby son. You see, that's a very prominent place in Israel. He is of the tribe of Benjamin. He ends up being a particular sect of the Jews that is very, very prominent. They're in a ruling sector. They are people who have a place at the temple. They're involved with the high priest. You see all these kinds of things? That's like saying, you know, I'm friends with the governor. And you know, people that I actually know that are associated with the governor, people drop names. This is their identity. This is what they're actually having confidence in, rather than trying to be like God's son, trying to elevate our brotherly love, our goodness and kindness towards our fellow man. These are the kinds of things that we're trying to get you to realize. I am crucified. Do you know this word I in the Greek language? It is actually the word ego. when you really get down to it, ego is this right here. It's the confidence that you have in your flesh, in your identity, in the things that you came into this world claiming, your family name, your status, social status, your rank as a result of the money that you have, things that people are working on and building on, sending your kids into the school system so that they can be smarter and they can actually increase their confidence in their rank, in their ego. And what? I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. What I am supposed to be doing is being interested in my fellow man. Before I talk to you tonight, I was actually talking to a young man who both of his grandfathers were Baptist preachers. He and I have been talking, he's been watching our broadcasts, and he himself left the Baptist faith behind, became a member of the body of Christ. And I hope people that are in Alabama are taking good care of him and that are encouraging him in this thing that we're talking about. And I hope and pray that they're not actually so confident in their flesh and their position in the Church of Christ, which many people use to exalt themselves and have confidence in the flesh. I hope that they're trying to help him move in the right direction. And what is that? Conformable unto Jesus' death. Being conformable unto Jesus' death. What does that mean? And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and the lust. I don't have confidence in those things that I came into the world with, my family's identity, my family's social status, things of that nature. How can you tell that about me? I left the United States for one thing and lived twice in a third world country so I could help individuals who don't have any social standing in the United States. They don't have any status. They don't have any identity whatsoever. If you were to see the people that I worked with, you would see them in the lowest of positions wherever they're found here in the United States and in the country in which they lived. That was my determination to express my concern to God for my fellow man who actually lived all the way across the ocean 8,000 miles away. So what am I doing here on this zip code? I'm trying to do the same thing. It's late at night. I started early this morning. And what do I want to do? I want to make sure that you have a chance to actually hear the truth about the Lord's true church and unadulterated New Testament Christianity. Can I say that everybody involved with us is acting in that fashion? I don't know. I know that I do my best to encourage them and they do their best to encourage me, and that's what we'll be doing on June the 19th for 2 weeks in this area. And we want to constantly tell you that throughout the time frame between now and June the 19th so that you would make sure that you get to join us with these individuals who have uprooted themselves from all over the country to be here in this area to help the work that we're doing. We hope that you learned something tonight. You can share this simply by telling somebody to type into YouTube, Johnny Robertson. I don't own What Does the Bible Say? I don't have the website, What Does the Bible Say? None of that. It just is my name associated with it. That's Google, that's YouTube. You just do it. It'll be the first Johnny Robertson that you actually see come up in your search bar, and you click on, and you can watch the broadcast and share it with somebody else. Always ask for, what does the Bible say? God bless you. Good night.